Welcome to everyone. Welcome to everyone to the Know It All podcast, episode 4. The Know It All podcast is again where we explore the art of knowing oneself in the world around us. In today's very special episode, we're going to be discussing an important topic that everyone, and I do mean everyone, can relate to, and that is how to improve and overcome the word no and build your self esteem. And as we navigate through life, we encounter obstacles. We all do on different levels. We have obstacles, we have setbacks, we have rejection. And over time, it can become incredibly disheartening. It's challenging to figure out a way or a reason oftentimes to even move forward. And when we're faced with so much negativity, it's really easy to fear what's next. But fear not, as we continue this show, as we have an expert in the field of overcoming and guiding you over your goals and guiding you to the next step and next stage in your life. And join us today is none other than Ms. Tracie Jiggetts. Uh, Tracie Jiggetts, who you see on the screen now, is a critically acclaimed interdisciplinary artist from Baltimore. Tracie specializes in dance, acting, musical theater, movement for actors, acting for dancers, and solo performance. She is also an award winning arts educator, a playwright, and a director. Ms. Jacobs is also a graduate of Coppin State University and the founder of the Art of Truth, which is an arts organization committed to the human and community development through performing arts. Tracie personally believes that making art is revolutionary. But most importantly, Tracie is my big sister. She is my hero. From, of course, being my arch nemesis as a kid to my best friend as an adult, she is everything we hope to be. And today, she is here to talk to us about how she overcomes no as an artist, and she will share ways to improve your self esteem. So, without further delay, Tracie, I would love to welcome you to the Know It All podcast.
Hello, Know It All family. Hello, brother
My
Clinton
pleasure.
Jiggetts. What a great
Is there anything that
introduction.
I
Thank
missed
you.
that I should add before we move forward?
What's going No, that was that was beautiful. I am like, oh, that's me. So I was very excited. But the arts is obviously a huge part of my life. I will say that art saved my life. Art continues to teach me and help me to grow. And I am a arts for everyone type person.
Mhm.
You do not have to be quote unquote professional to
Absolutely. Well,
be
thank you
embraced by the
for that
arts.
introduction. So, what we like to do here on the Know It All podcast is really get to the meat and potatoes of everything, and truly give the people something to build themselves on. And we're all trying to build a better sense of ourselves. I think it's really important to build contrast when talking about overcoming obstacles and achieving our goals. And in order to do that, what I want to do here, Tracie, is I'm going to ask you a few questions, but I want to start with a really high story, a really positive story. So to get started, obviously as an artist, that means that you often have to audition for opportunities and roles. Before you tell me about the challenging times and the ways you have to sustain your motivation to become greater and to achieve your goals, can you share with me an easy experience where, because of your reputation, because of who you are, you kind of had a slam dunk scenario in achieving a role or a part or some sort of opportunity that you wanted to seize? And let's start there. I think it's a great place to start for our listeners.
Yes, well, starting on a good note, I would say most recently, the last show that I auditioned for, I walked in with a confidence that I was not used to. A lot of that had to do with knowing not only the work, but knowing the director. I also
Hmm.
was familiar with a lot of the other people who were auditioning for this role. So from walking in, there was a sense of love, right? From the going in the door. So it wasn't so much
Right.
competition and I have to. It was I can just be me. And people are familiar with that. So when you walk into that sort of environment, it's a little easier for you to take a
Right.
breath. And you're not fearing your mistakes because
Yeah.
there's that buffer of they know me. Yes. So that made it, and that is coming more recently as I get older and find new trust in myself and recognizing.
Hmm.
I think that imposter syndrome, if that's a word, right? And you show up and it's like I'm not as good as these people. I'm not enough. But that was definitely a moment where I showed up and we did Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope, which was a Broadway musical by Mickey Grant. And it was an amazing experience. But the audition process was very a breath of fresh air. The only other time that I remember youth, in my youth, I didn't have a lot of fear of
Absolutely. Please
showing
do.
up. So if I can take it back very quickly to my first audition for Baltimore School for the Arts, I remember because I didn't know the dance world, because I
Hmm.
remember not being afraid. And I had to fight to even go to the School for the Arts to audition because, at the time, so there was like a trusting of myself
Yeah.
that I honestly remember that I'm trying to get back to. I'm trying to get back to that feeling of just showing up and whatever I give is enough, right? Because I know me, I trust myself that I'm gonna work hard and that I'm gonna do what needs to be done. And that really is enough. So I would take it back to that first audition, and there was no looming, you're not good enough over my head. And then fast forward all these years later, we're not gonna talk about how many years, but fast forward all these years later, and beginning to find that
Yeah.
same peace in
I
myself
think it's
of
great
just
that you
showing up.
mentioned both components because oftentimes we don't know how to handle scenarios where it's somewhat easy. I'm not implying that that is a give me, but it's easier than the hard times. But the reference to the youth part, I think, is incredibly powerful because youth are fearless, like completely fearless in everything. Actually, just earlier this week, when my son and I were walking home from the bus stop, of course, your nephew, but we were walking home from the bus stop, and there's this high wall at the end of our community, and this little kid was determined that he was going to jump off. And me being an adult and the only adult nearby, I was like, I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should do that. But he had zero fear. He had no fear. Where I'm thinking, I don't want this kid to hurt himself. I don't want to be responsible if this
Mm,
kid does hurt himself. I'm thinking of every possible scenario. But he climbed up on the wall. He jumped off the wall. He was perfectly fine. And that really did even resonate to me at that moment because kids are fearless. They're not overthinking, overanalyzing everything the way we do as adults. And I do think it's an incredibly powerful and useful tool if you can adopt the habit of thinking like a youth. Yeah, yeah, perfect.
yes,
Yeah. Well,
I
so
totally
that's
agree.
kind of the easy
Yes.
scenario. But of course, what we're here to talk about today is how you overcome no and build your own self-esteem. So on the other side of
Mm,
that equation is clearly different and uh, likely happens more often because I believe that you should chase your nose, you should chase your rejections, you should chase your failures in life because once they become part
mm,
of your journey, you see them as a necessary part of the journey versus a roadblock or a hindrance. Um, so with that, talk to us about a
okay,
time you had
yes.
to overcome a no and how your self esteem factored into that experience.
Hmm. I would say
Hmm.
there have been way more no's than yeses. Let me start there. So it's crazy because I had the first question I had to really think like, when was I just really good?
Right.
This question, I got stories everywhere, right? And especially, I'm gonna say as an artist,
Mm-hmm.
but as a artist educator, I think the biggest no's can come from when you're standing
Mm-hmm.
in front of the people that you are there to teach, right? And you have to get rid of all the feelings of I still to this day, I feel like I have to reach everyone in that classroom, right? So I have to find a moment with everyone to make sure everyone is getting it. And if I don't get that, then I feel like I haven't done my job. So I leave feeling, and
Yeah.
them not getting it may not have had anything to do with me, right? But in that moment, that is my responsibility. So I would say first, when you work with people, you have to recognize that people come with their own perspective, with their own, but it is the person that's sitting there looking at you like this. That should know, right? It's the person that's it is the all of the other things that life brings that I take personally, right? And then I have to what I started to do was build myself back up. I remember going into auditions and feeling like, you do the look
Yeah.
around and like, oh, I know that person's good. And I know that person's great. And I know that person. And then you get in, and then especially for acting auditions, you don't hear back immediately. So you have that waiting time where you're going through all the things you did wrong, and all of the things. And then when you hear the no, it's like, yeah, and that was me for a long time. And I had to understand that the no is not necessarily for me. The no may be the person who fits this role has a higher voice and they see someone
Right.
like it really is not that anything that I did was wrong. It's just not fitting for that particular situation. And but it takes time to be able to break that down, and it takes time to be able to pick yourself up and say I'm going to try this again, because I know people who give up because there's only but so many no's you're going to hear. But when you understand that every no really is a yes, every loss really is a learning opportunity. So what did I try to my phrase is find the good. So in the midst of the bad, what are the good takeaways that I can find from this?
Mm-hmm.
So a takeaway is I showed up. A takeaway is I tried, right? While there, I may have met some people. I may have gotten inspiration from someone else. And even though that ended in that no, and I have had some no's where I have cried and been devastated, right? And especially parts that I think I'm quote unquote perfect for, and then for that to be like, not you. So that is something. So there are several situations, but definitely when I am in front of a class,
Yeah.
it's overcoming the no on every face in that room. But in the audition, it is overcoming the no from that one person. But again, having to step away, knowing
Right.
I can't carry the whole burden of that no every time. And that's what I think a lot of us tend to do. And we continue to dump it on ourselves. So, yes, so there have been times where the no has hurt. But as I am on this journey, the sting is a little
Oh, So,
less. The
so
sting is a
that's
little
that's
less these
that's a really
days.
interesting point. When you think about those times where the no hurt, and so it weighed on you, and I imagine that these are whether it's just in that window of the audition or the opportunity, or it might affect you outside of the scope of your art. When you're in these low moments, what do you
Mhm.
do to help strengthen your self-esteem and strengthen your motivation to go do it again and not be a person who says that's the final straw or that's enough, and kind of moving on from art being the center of your life?
Well, I'm going to say I am a study of humans, and especially being a theater
Hmm.
artist. a lot of stories, right? And a lot of other people's experiences. And through others' journey, I am really able to gain some perspective. Right. So now it's like I'm not the first person to hear no. I know all of these people have heard no 1,000 times. And I read these stories, and you know me, I'm a lover of history and a study. So I also recognize that where I am, the things that I have to overcome are nowhere near the
Yeah.
things that the generations before me had to overcome to even get to this place. So that helps to put it in perspective, because I think we do everything is us, 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 and we make it. But when you look at the whole picture and you find some perspective in that, so there is not an artist that has not heard no. If I personalize it and make it mine, then it's going to crush me. But if I put it in the perspective of
Yep.
this is a part of this journey, and the no may actually, sometimes I didn't get things. And then I find out later that I had no business. Like, I'm glad I was not a part of that, right? And it's so I cried, no, no, no. And then
Yeah.
when I saw it, it's like, oh, that wasn't for me at all. That was the best no I ever got. Right, even from people. So understanding, and that's where the perspective comes
Yeah.
from. But that takes study. That takes study. And that is why I believe when I say the arts are revolutionary, a lot of my perspective has just come from being an artist and showing up to see a play, to read a play, but to hear someone else's experience and to put yourself in that place. I just think that helps us to see
I think
the
that's
bigger picture.
a really good way to summarize it, because the no can't, you have to understand perspective, and that you're not unique in your failures and hearing no,
Mm,
and having low moments. And I find that for myself, it's important that I see the scale and the scope of what's occurring when I'm having a bad moment. When I get a rejection from a potential client, or
mhm.
uh, from a sales opportunity with my consulting firm, or whatever it may be, understanding that even if it is personal, it's not personal, because nothing uniquely is happening to me.
Yes.
Um, I know, I was reading an article, actually, excuse me, not reading an article. I was listening to an interview from uh, Lance Reddick, who, of course, recently passed away. I was a huge fan, one, because I'm from Baltimore
Yes.
and I love The Wire. Um, so I loved him in The Wire. I'm
Yes.
also a huge John Wick fan, which John Wick 4 comes out this Friday. Looking forward to
I was
that.
going to
So
say.
so I was really, no, it comes out Friday.
Oh, I thought that was
But I was really disappointed to see he passed away.
out.
But I
Okay.
watched him an interview where he was sharing how uh, he auditioned for The Wire, he auditioned for Homicide, uh, and both times he was rejected in the first audition, and he got callbacks because something else
Wow.
occurred that opened up the opportunity for him. For one, I believe he auditioned for one role and got another, and for the other, exactly what he auditioned for, he got.
Okay.
But understanding these, when you look at celebrities, or you look at people who seem like they have it all together, and you don't know about their failures, you don't know about the roadblocks, but if you look at the scope and know that failure is an intimate part of anything you want to achieve in life, it makes it much easier to accept it, learn from it, just like you said, and build from there. uh See what comes. Yeah. um
Definitely.
so when you think about these low times, where you have to find self-esteem, and you're trying to overcome the experience of getting a no, are there ever any um, books, movies, lectures, anything that you consume to kind of help you find your way?
Well, definitely. I am a huge fan of the motivational speakers, right? And I remember the first time I heard
Yeah.
Les Brown. And yeah, and it's and I used to listen to him quite often, and I began to this was when you were starting to drive, and I didn't want to listen to music, so I'm going to listen to a book, I'm going to listen to a motivational speaker as I was trying to, but I was seeking
Mm-hmm.
out feeling better, right? I wanted to feel better. I knew that there was a way to find some sort of balance. Like, and I'm a Libra, so I'm always looking. Oh, I know you like, but I am always looking for the balance. So I will seek the good and I will seek the word of those. So I will say
Yeah.
first, journaling. I will say because that is talking to yourself. But from almost from in that third person, you get to really write. And what I find is I can go back to
Mm-hmm.
what I wrote a year ago and recognize my growth, recognize things that I may still have to work on. But that is using myself as a tool, right? I am, but I have to be active in that game. So that's a huge part of it. So I will say, when I started my motivational speaking, my first person
Yeah.
was Les Brown, so I have to give props. But then I started to pull inspiration from those around me, right? So, and that's part of building that circle of building people who are living lives that you wish
Mm-hmm.
to reach. Yes, and that involves a lot of moving, changing of circles, but finding people who inspire you. Because honestly, if all the people around you, if you are
Yeah.
the only inspiration, right, who is going to pour into you? So you have to find that light. So I'm going to say journaling, and I even have an example because it doesn't have to be big. Because I feel like when you say journaling, it's like a whole lot. But there are things. This is a quick 5 minute
I love it.
morning magic journal. And it literally takes 5 minutes in the morning, and you're just writing, things that you want expect from that day, things that you and again, you can go back and see these. I'm pretty sure they still have these at the local Five Below. But I seek out things like this, I seek out tools like those. But there are definitely books of artists. Look, I
Love it.
have examples here. This book was given to me, and definitely as an artist. And when I say the study of other people's lives, especially those people who are doing what you want to do, this this
Hold
lady,
on.
Cicely
Let's clap it
Tyson,
up
we give
for
thanks.
Cicely Tyson.
Even the
Um,
yes,
yeah, we always appreciate her and her contribution. But please
yeah.
continue.
But just her story, and sometimes being who you are is going to lock
Hmm.
you out of a lot of opportunities, and understanding that that's okay. Because that means, again, it was not for you. So when I say that Cicely lives a life where she's not going to do any roles that do not serve her or the collective of people, right? So that means there was this whole other world that she wasn't even going to show up for because that does not serve me. That's not what I want to do. That's a lot of trust in yourself. That is a lot of self exploration. Like you have to know yourself to be able to say, that is not for me. And I tell my students all the time, and it's crazy, and it's advice to myself, and that you don't have to go to
Hmm.
every party you're invited to. And that sounds like on a, elementary level, okay, somebody invites you, you don't have to go, but you don't have to, join anything that is not for you. People are going to invite you. They may have a bad energy. You have to
Yep.
decide if you're going to match that energy or not. And if you start to make decisions that put you where you want to be, each day you begin to trust yourself a little bit more. And I think that's where it comes from. So definitely motivational speaking, definitely the lives of the people who came before me, and understanding again, bringing perspective to this whole thing. It's not just me. It's not just woe is me, why is this happening to me? Because there may be a very good reason, but if you don't take the time to sit and unpack, then you're never going to get there. So you're always chasing a yes,
Yep.
but yes is already here, right? You have to know when you walk in that I am the yes, whether they see it or not. And that's the hard part. That's the overcoming part. So yeah, so that's what I
I'm
would
really
say.
happy where you started around journaling, because I'm a huge advocate for journaling. I think it's an incredibly powerful tool. Actually, I have a journal that's similar to the one you have, and it doesn't have to be a time-consuming task. It can be just a few minutes, uh, less than five even, to kind of set your mind for the day. Um, I think it's incredibly helpful to recognize
Yes.
victories uh, in things that you could be appreciative
Mm,
for, because not everything is a grand slam that you have to wait for you can celebrate the base hit, you can celebrate the double. I'll give you one more baseball metaphor. You can
yes.
celebrate you know the first strike, as a pitcher.
The
Sure,
bunt is
you don't really swing the bat when you, but you kind of just stand there, but it's all good. No,
okay.
no, no, that's really great. And I think as far as you saying that's not for me, and you don't have to go to every party that you're invited to, I think those are two really powerful points as well, because one, you have to be brave enough and confident enough to use discretion around what environment you will place yourself into.
Mm,
And you have no obligation to anyone but yourself. That includes family, friends, associations,
yes.
organizations, jobs, whatever. Your first obligation is to your well-being. That's your mental well-being, your overall health, everything. So I think that's not for me is one of my best takeaways from what you just shared. So yeah, that was really great. Now, now before we wrap up here, Tracie, I'd like to end on some fun, kind of like a quick speed round of some things that are fun to you. So hopefully these questions don't feel you uh, catch you too much off guard. But I'm looking for quick responses, just to learn more about you and things that help propel you through life. So I'm going to ask you
Okay.
quick questions. Are you ready? All right, all right.
Okay.
Let's hit the
Woo,
drum
I'm
roll.
ready. Come on,
All
drum
right.
roll.
First of all, what is your favorite movie?
Oh, favorite movie. Favorite movie. Oh my goodness. It's so many of them. Let's go with the Five Heartbeats.
That is also my favorite movie, and
Oh, I
we did
got
not
nothing
plan that.
but love for
Favorite book?
you, baby. Okay, yes. Favorite book, The
I knew
Color
that.
Purple. The Color
Oh, you got it right. Favorite favorite play of all time?
Favorite play. Oh my goodness. Okay, favorite play.
Pearly.
Pearly.
A quick
Pearly by
a
Ozzie
quick little
Davis. Yes,
background lesson
Pearly
for my
Victoria.
listeners. Again, this is my big sister. Back in the 80s and 90s, you had one TV, maybe two TVs in the house. So when she and I had access to the TV, uh, she was the older sibling, so she kind of bullied me. Uh, so we probably
Oh
watched
my
Pearly
goodness.
7 million times easily. Now the after effects of that is
Easily.
now as an adult, I do love musicals, and I actually watch them on purpose now. But back then it was by force. Favorite
Torture.
actor?
Favorite actor. Ooh. Ooh. Are they
Doesn't
still
matter.
here? Ooh, okay. Favorite actor is going to be Clinton. This is kind of hard. It's so many. Um,
Okay, gonna move
I
on.
have to. I don't know. Okay. And because the actors for me, like, okay, but let's give Cicely. I'm gonna say I definitely love Cicely Tyson. We give thanks for her, so I'm definitely gonna
That
say
works for me.
Cicely Tyson.
Favorite place to visit?
Yes.
City, state, country, it
Favorite
doesn't
place to
matter.
visit? I am a lover of the outdoors. I am put me near a
Hmm.
body of water, a quiet body of water. So there are, many places that fit that, but I love to be in nature. So the woods, the forest, out by the water, being able to sit, being able to ground. And I really love
Interesting.
graveyards.
I did not know that.
I do. I love graveyards. I will sit in the graveyard and I will go do grounding in the graveyard. I find it very calming, but that's a whole
Got
nother
it. Got
story. So,
it.
yes.
And lastly, your favorite food and your most hated food.
My favorite food has got to be I'm a crabs lady. I'm a Baltimore crabs. You say crabs, I'm in there. But I do love seafood. I'm not a scallop, oyster, any of that. But give me a nice shrimp, a nice lobster ministry, a nice crab, and I am happy. So yes, and the food that I don't even understand why it's still living. Why y'all eating coleslaw out here in the world? What is going on with coleslaw? I do not like coleslaw. I am anti candy corn. I do not like mayonnaise. Don't give me a sandwich with mayonnaise on it. So yes, so that would be the foods that are
Well,
down.
um, I happen to think that we should all accept coleslaw on top of pulled barbecue sandwiches, but as an individual side item, it is unnecessary. But no, thank you for that list, Tracy. Be Before we wrap up here, I want to give you an opportunity to plug yourself, whether you have a show upcoming or where they can find you online. Feel free to plug, and then we'll get ready to wrap up here shortly after that.
That went so fast. Oh my goodness, you are a great host. But I will say, hello again, world. My name is Tracie Jiggetts. You can find me online. I'm on the local Facebooks as Tracie Jiggetts. I am on the local Instagrams as Magical Negro. And you can also find The Art of Truth, TheArt of TRUTH, The Art of Truth. We are on Facebook. We are also on Instagram. You can go to theartoftruth.org to find out more. Most recently, next Sunday, I have a musical theater workshop where I truly believe that, again, art is for everyone. So this workshop is not for professionals. It is for people who want to show up and have fun and learn the art of theater, which really can help us in our everyday lives. So I would just say, I encourage you all to participate in random acts of art. I don't care if you dance down the aisle when your song come on at the supermarket. I don't care if you sing out right in the mirror in the morning, but find a moment to celebrate yourself through art. Draw something, paint something, doodle, just release that energy, and it is a great tool for finding who you
Mm-hmm.
are, right? And highlighting that, because I feel like we are all be better if we are able to find that light in ourselves.
100% agree. Art is a critical part of
Yeah,
society overall and can be personally beneficial to absolutely everyone. Now,
definitely.
before I wrap up here, just in case anyone is wondering, uh, this shirt is Best Fit Apparel, so you can feel free, especially if you love Baltimore the way we both do. This shirt is on
Oh,
bestfitapparel.com. It'll be in the description. And what I would like to do as I wrap up here is first of all, thank you for tuning in to episode 4 of the Know It All podcast. I am incredibly grateful to
yeah.
everyone for the likes, the shares, the comments, the feedback, the encouragement, the advice. Everything in between has been incredibly helpful. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I want to ensure that you remember that overcoming no and building your self esteem is a journey. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not a dash. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes being knocked down and getting back up, rebuilding, getting knocked down and rebuilding again, but with the right mindset, the right tools, whether it's journaling or motivational speakers or books or the network of people that you surround yourself with, you can conquer your challenges. You can achieve your goals. Uh, as as we wrap up here, I want to again extend my gratitude and my special thank you to our guest, my beautiful sister, Tracie. I want to thank you for your
Yeah.
expertise. I want to thank you for your wisdom that you shared with us today. It truly is an honor. You know how much I love you and adore you. So I'm so happy that you were able to be the official first guest of the Know It All podcast. And of course, to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please, please, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our podcast. Your support means the world to me. And again, I am incredibly grateful. And I would like to leave you with a quote from, again, one of my now favorite books by David Goggins. And I just was reading over it again this past weekend, and this quote just I had to jot it down because I thought it was really, really, really perfectly aligned with the title of today's show. And the quote says, when I set an unreasonable goal and fall short, I don't even look at it as failure anymore. It is simply my first,
Mm.
second, third, or 10th attempt. That is what belief does for you. It takes failure out of the equation and completely shifts it so that, because when you go from knowing the process will be long and arduous, that is what the fuck we do. David Goggins always leaves us with some vulgarity, and we love it here. So you
I was
have
like, whoa.
a motherfucking great day. Be great today. And always remember, you are built for greatness. You are capable and you are ready to tackle any challenge that comes your way. No, it's not the end of your story, but learning is an opportunity that presents itself with every failure. So become better, grow, go out there and make it great. Go fail on purpose so you can get better. Thank you again.
Let's
Know It All
go.
Podcast out.